It's another joyous Monday wherever you are. Thank you very much for connecting with us. This is the all-new AM show. My name is Benjamin Akakbo. It's a pleasure to come your way this morning. Now, the topical matters of concern that we're going to be looking at, considering this morning, we're looking primarily at the University Teachers Association of Ghana, and they are bemoaning the worsening conditions of service. In recent times, they've put out a communique. Actually, between Tuesday and Friday, they held some meetings of the National Executive Committee, and they've been discussing the worsening conditions of service of the university teacher. Now, today, they are laying their tools down and saying that they are not going to be undertaking the activities that we'd expect of them. What is the way forward? They are calling for the relevant institutions to go back to the 2013 figures or increments that they enjoyed. How is this going to pan out, and what are we going to see emanate from this? Joining us for that all-important conversation, we have our guests, Dr. Samuel Bert Bwedu Kisi. He is with the UTAG as president. We also have Ofosu Ampofo, executive secretary of the National Labour Commission, as well as Austin Game, a labour consultant. We'll also be hearing from NUGS and the SRC, that is the National Union of Graduate Students, and the SRC. In our second segment on the AM show today, we'll be talking about the reversal of benchmark values. We've heard from His Excellency the President in recent times directing the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority to suspend its planned implementation of the government's policy directive on the reversal of the reduction of values of imports on selected items known as benchmark values from the 4th of January 2022. Now, this was after protests from different organizations, including GUTA, which had said that, look, its prices were going to go up by quite a bit if the removal of the benchmark of values was sustained. So where do we go from here? We'll hear from GUTA, we'll hear from the importers, we'll hear from the exporters as well about the relevant issues. What is going to happen now that the president has given this directive? In the third belt of the show, we're going to be talking about child labor. We all know what the situation is internationally in respect of that. In recent times, JoyNews investigations have uncovered how children are trafficked for a sum of as little as 800 or 1,000 Ghana cedis to work on cocoa farms in Elokrom in the western north region. One of the victims, Rashida, says her master started using her when she was only 11 years old. And she's been sharing this with investigative journalists Kwete and Nate. We'll be getting excerpts for you as it airs today at 8:30 a.m. on the Super Morning Show and 8:30 p.m. on JoyNews later today. We'll also be talking about the fortunes of our Black Stars. Don't you forget, they are in that group together with Gabon, Morocco, and the Comoros. And today they face off with Morocco. We'll bring you in-depth analysis about what to expect in that match later today. A final point to take stock of. If you've noticed that the fuel prices wherever you go are ticking up, it's because indeed there is the threat, imminent threat of that. And today we also know that the Coalition of Concerned, or the Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana, they have said that come next Monday, the 17th, they are going to increase their prices or their fares by 40%. What accounts for all of these? We'll bring you the details in the course of the show, starting with the news review. My name is Benjamin Akakbo. It's a pleasure coming your way. Up next, we have the news.
Hello, my name is Nathaniel Atto. You can catch up with all the fun and inspiration on the Joy Sports link here on Joy 99.7 FM, together with all other shows over and over again. It's very simple. All you need to do is go to myjoyonline.com/podcast and relive all of those fun moments over and over again. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Thank you for staying on the AM show. Time now for us to get the latest in the world of news. Mapito CBD is standing by. Good morning, Maps.
Good morning, Benjamin. And in our first story, lecturers in government tertiary institutions have withdrawn their services. In a statement dated January 8, the University Teachers Association of Ghana explained that government has flouted the agreed timelines to address their concerns. UTAG has been pushing for government to increase the salaries of lecturers as well as ensure improved working conditions. But despite several stakeholders' engagement, government is yet to meet their demands. Secretary of the University of Ghana chapter of UTAG, Professor Ransford Jampo, says until the conditions of service are improved, they will not hesitate to withdraw their services.
What you are referring to was something that happened last week in the usual political gimmick that I find disingenuous. When you sound the portion that you want to go on strike, they don't do anything, and last minute then they will call you into something. That is not a meeting. They called our UTAG national executive officers to go and do a presentation of the labor market survey report to them. That wasn't a serious discussion. We are willing to go the full in this particular instance. And generally, I've said that until we begin to have a national conversation to ensure to achieve some equity in our salary structures, there will be no industrial harmony. Once there is no industrial harmony, productivity is hampered. And once productivity is hampered, our efforts to fight hard to extricate ourselves from the quagmires of poverty and underdevelopment will continue to suffer. And so I think it's about time politicians sat down to take a second look at how they treated labor in general.
We have more on this later on the AIM show. In other stories, Ghanaian traders are excited about President Akufo-Addo's directive to the Ghana Revenue Authority to pull the brakes on the implementation of the reversal of discounts on benchmark values on 43 selected items. Applauding government, President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obeng, called on the Ghana Revenue Authority to withdraw its earlier circular about the implementation of the policy reversal until all stakeholder consultations are completed.
Traders are overly excited and very happy, and the news came as a result that the president has been very sensitive to our plight, and the traders are very grateful to this, and that we call on the government to make sure that this stakeholder engagement starts as early as possible. Yeah, we take the opportunity of this also to call on the Ghana Revenue Authority to withdraw its earlier circular that suggests that they defend the implementation to 17th to restart. So they should withdraw that until stakeholder engagement is conclusive, they cannot implement the reversal of the benchmark policy. We are very grateful to government, and we are open for objective discussion when the stakeholder engagement starts.
We'll hear from the stakeholders on this in the course of the show. Let's go to the Volta region now, where the Becco Senior High School in the Adaklu district of the Volta region is plagued with a myriad of challenges which is affecting the delivery of education. The school lacks potable water, lack of accommodation for teachers, lack of an ICT lab, official vehicles, among requisite logistics needed for the training of students. The school's headmaster, Matthew Mensah-Fianu, made this known when the Adaklu MP, Kwame Abodza, visited the school.
Becco Senior High School, established in 2019, has about 88 students with 45 teaching and non-teaching staff, out of which only 8 are being housed in bungalows provided on the campus. The school runs all second cycle school courses except for science and visual arts, though science lab equipment has been provided. The infant school is faced with a myriad of challenges ranging from bad access road, inadequate teacher accommodation, lack of official vehicles, among others. Matthew Mensah-Fianu is the headmaster.
The water is very hard. It's very hard, so it's not conducive for drinking, so we don't drink it. And because of the hardness of the water to our WCs, all cease to work because the particles form a plaque in the pipes, so they choke the pipe. The water cannot go into the system for you to flush. Our building, the teacher's flat. The teacher's flat needs a whole renovation, serious renovation. The building itself too is not complete. They still working on it. The building itself is not complete. The classroom block? Yes, the E block. Oh, what's that? No more. We don't have vehicle. Vehicle. School bus. Yes, school bus. Then pick up for the school, for the running of the school.
Becco Senior High School was provided a boarding facility with a school management tasked to construct a kitchen before it would be accredited a boarding status. The Member of Parliament for Adaklu, Kwame Agboja, expressed his displeasure on the directive.
I must say that the contractors who worked here are some of the lousiest I've found. I had cause to come to this campus to complain about the level of their working, because if you have a contractor who is working on a project whose funding is not in doubt, it's difficult to understand why the contractor is not working. And as we speak, the fact that the contractor working on the main classroom block and other things hasn't finished, I am very disappointed. I have situations in Adaklu Awaya where girls are bathing outside because they don't have enough space. People are sleeping outside. So I would have wished this facility, to be honest, the boarding facility, I will not lie to you, was built at Waya, so that we can complete or solve that problem of lack of dormitory facilities there, while we take time to see how this school will take off properly as a day school, and then in the future we put it there. And as far as Adaklu is concerned, education remains our topmost priority. So whenever we hear issues, we have problems with our road, our water and everything, but whenever we hear issues about our education, we take it as a do or die thing that we need to deal with.
Mr. Agboja presented a motorbike to help lessen the transport burden of the school, while he promised to lobby the appropriate quarters for official vehicles. Fred Kwame Asari, JoyNews, Adaklu.
12 accused persons arrested in connection with the recent violence in Bawku have received a heroic welcome by residents after they were released from police custody. They were held for 9 days in Accra following the arrest after a deadly renewed chieftaincy clash in Bawku. Dozens of jubilating Mamprose youth and elders on Saturday lined up on the principal streets in Gambaga to welcome the accused persons before they were led to the palace of the Mamprose overlord in Nalerugu. Correspondent Ilyas Tanko has more.
The accused persons, who were all Mamproses, were arrested almost 2 weeks ago after renewed chieftaincy disturbances that led to the loss of lives in Bawku in the Upper East region. After being airlifted to Accra, the 12 persons, including some low-ranking elders of the Nairi, were detained for days without any charges until a bail application moved by their counsel, Martin Pebu, forced prosecutors to charge them with unlawful assembly with offensive weapons and conduct conducive to the breach of peace. On Friday, they were finally granted bail by an Accra High Court to the sum of 20,000 Ghana cedis each, with one surety. They all pleaded not guilty to the charges and are expected to reappear before the court on February 12, 2022. Following their release, the accused persons on Saturday received a rousing welcome in Mamprose communities as they made their way to the traditional capital Nalerugu to prepare their journey back to Bawku. The accused persons were driven in a convoy to Gambaga, where the residents had been waiting for many hours on the street to wave and welcome them as they made their way to the Nairi. At the King's Palace, amidst drumming and dancing, an uncontrollable, excited Mamprose youth scrambled to catch a first glimpse of the accused persons who were being hailed as freedom fighters. At his private chamber with members of his royal court, the overlord welcomed the youth and gave them a listening ear. An executive of the Mamprose Youth Association offered their greetings to the overlord and said they were first of all displeased by the way a manner the president, through his security agencies, arrested and manhandled his kinsmen who were in Bawku on a mission on his behalf. The youth drew the attention of the king to a statement said to have been made by the Minister of Culture and Chieftaincy, suggesting the Bawku chieftaincy dispute had been settled by the Supreme Court. The youth said the arrest of the chief's elders and their subsequent detention was a show of gross disrespect to the authority of the overlord, for which reason they expressed their anguish and asked the overlord to retaliate against the government. The overlord, however, called for calm. He told the youth he had had sleepless nights over the matter and admonished them to exercise maximum restraint to avoid further escalations. The youth spoke to Joy News after the meeting with the overlord.
As law-abiding citizens and peace lovers, we wish to make the following requests through you to the government to consider with immediate effect to bring closure to the persistent conflict in Bawku, which affects Mamprugu in general. 1. That the government finds and prosecute the criminals who gruesomely murdered 2 of our innocent brothers who were on a business trip to Kulungugu. 2. That our kinsmen are released unconditionally instead of being admitted to bail. If the government has any genuine charges against them, they should proceed to prosecute, and we are ready to defend them in the law court. 3. The government should stop peddling falsehood about the existence of a court ruling confirming Aburago as the legitimate chief of Bawku. We challenge them to publish any such ruling, indeed, if there is any. Number 4, that the government should stop taking sides and meddling in chieftaincy matters in Bawku, as the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana gives him no such powers to declare anyone anywhere as a legitimate chief of or otherwise. That the president should be more responsible and assume a nation-building posture and set up a committee of eminent chiefs immediately to look into the Bawku chieftaincy matter, just as was done to resolve the Dagbon chieftaincy crisis.
From Nalirgu, Ilyasu Tanko reporting.
Back here in Accra, road users plying Dadabeng Road around the North Industrial Area in Accra, asking government to fix deplorable roads in the area. According to motorists, the gapping potholes on the stretch continuously pose a risk to road users. They tell JoyNews' Sarah Min said that this is not the first time they're raising concerns about the stretch, but it seems their plea has fallen on deaf ears.
The North Industrial Area is usually a busy stretch. From afar, business seems to be booming with new shops springing up at almost every corner. But take a closer look and you realize the roses are far from red here. On the popular Dadiban stretch, a portion of the road is in a deplorable state. Road users say the stretch is now a death trap.
I don't know what is happening now. As you can see, the road is very bad. And now they are not passing the main road. They are now passing where the pedestrians are passing. You see, because of the bad state of the road. So we are pleading to the authorities to come and do something about it. It's very bad. Seriously, it's very bad.
Most vehicles avoid using this section of the road. Business operators say the situation is affecting them, as prospective customers often use alternative routes.
Every time when there's rain, erosions every time, or erosions, everything, we just spread. Many of them, you can see some refuse, some dustbin, some trash away on the road. By seeing this road, transportation cars, they are not moving, they are not going. So when they are not passing through this road, how are they going to expect that they should see what we are sending here, what we are dealing with here? They can't see. Because of the bad of the road, they are not passing here anymore.
I would say it's affected me in 2 ways. Firstly, our business. Secondly, my church. Because most of the time when I'm going to church, I go to church as Chieftaincy. And I told people I'm coming to this area because of the bad road. They don't want to take me, or they charge me high. So, and secondly, because of my business, because people are not passing here again, it's affecting us. Because if the road is good, then a lot of people will be patronizing here and will be able to come to our office to buy some other shares.
The few drivers who ply the route risk damaging their shock absorbers, shafts, and even tires. They called on government to, as a matter of urgency, fix the road. Some road users shared their frustration with JoyNews.
I've been using this road for over 7 years now. Yes, and this is a state for, as far as I can know. I mean, I know it has been like this. I actually didn't want to use here today because I knew it was going to be like this. Now, I don't get to work early because of this place. It takes me 10 minutes to cross here.
I just can't imagine
how bad this place has been and the number of people who ply this road. And look at the industries, the factories around here. And those of us who are using small cars, you could imagine to see the effects on our car. This looks like a connected road that looks simpler to our homes. You cannot afford to dodge it, and you always have to pass through here. Your car is damaging, all kind of wear and tears.
Until this road is fixed, business operators around here risk losing their source of livelihood. Sarah Mensah's report for JoyNews.
Ghana's quest to win a 5th Africa Cup of Nations trophy will be tested today when they face Morocco in the Group C opener at the ongoing tournament in Cameroon. The tournament got off yesterday after suffering postponement last year due to COVID-19. President Akufo-Addo, in a goodwill message to the Black Stars, called on them to win the tournament. The president also wants the nation to rally behind the team to ensure victory in all matches.
On the eve of the commencement in Cameroon of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations Championship, I send best wishes from all Ghanaians to you, the playing, technical, and management teams of the senior national soccer side, the Black Stars. We're all happy that finally the AFCON 2021 tournament, which was postponed from last year, is now going to be held, the coronavirus pandemic notwithstanding. Like with every other edition of AFCON, the Ghanaian people demand nothing short of ultimate glory from the Stars. The pressure to succeed is understandably high because of our status as four-time winners, and also because it has been 40 long years since we last lifted the trophy. The target for you, naturally, is to bring the cup home. We have to go a step further than the second places recorded in 1992, 2010, and 2015, and bring the 40-year drought to an end. The task may be daunting, but it is certainly not insurmountable. I believe that in the current crop of players, we have the talent to match any of the best teams on the continent. The Ghana team has been penciled down as one of the favorites for the tournament because of its sheer quality. Let us work to bring the prediction to fruition. You, the current crop, wear the jersey of the Black Stars, the same jersey worn by Ghanaian legends such as Ado Damite, Ben Simmons, Agrifin, Wilberforce Nfum, Edward Akwa, Mohamed Salisu, the non-pareil Babayara, Abdul Razak, Opokunti, and Francis Kumi. Wear it with pride. Wear it with determination. Be of one mind and spirit. And be united on or off the pitch. Whether you are in the starting 11 chosen by coach Milovan Rejevac or not, you owe it a duty to back and support wholeheartedly your teammates representing the nation on the field. That is how a 5th AFCON trophy for Mother Ghana can be achieved. To you, my fellow Ghanaians, now more than ever is the time to throw our unwavering support behind the team. Yes, I'm aware that there are 30 million coaches in Ghana.
And that's it for the AM News. For more news, you can log into myjoyonline.com. I am Apisa CBD. The all-new, brand-new AM show with Benjamin Akakpo continues. Benjamin, today, what can we expect from you?
Well, quite a lot, Mapito. We're going to be talking about the University Teachers Association of Ghana and their strike, or at least they're laying down their tools starting from today. There's also the bit about the Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana. They are saying that from Monday, if certain things are not done on the back of fuel increments, they are increasing their transport fares by 40%. What would that mean to ordinary Ghanaians? We get into these matters as well as children in cocoa labor. We'll be bringing you that hotline documentary in the course of today. There's a lot to actually stay with us for. Do stay. Up next, we'll bring you the news review.
What's up, guys? My name is Sammy Forson, host of the Weekend City Show and Ignition right here on Joy 99.7 FM. Well, anytime you happen to be busy and you miss out on your favorite shows right here on Joy FM, here's what you can do. Log on to myjoyonline.com/podcast. Just go on there and you'll find all your shows on demand 24/7. There you can catch up. Remember, Joy FM remains your radio for discerning listeners.
Well, a very good morning to you once more. In case you're just joining us, thank you for staying with us. It's time now for us to get into the newspapers and quite a number of stories. Let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper, and it says Black Stars ready for AFCON. That is on page 16 of the paper. And if you take a look at it, quite interesting. You know that it's been a barren run for us for decades, and we are trying to get past that hurdle of winning our 5th AFCON. And so we'll be looking at that extensively on the show today. We'll be getting into it a bit. But, of course, that tournament underway. And yesterday we had some interesting matches that actually were played. Cape Verde with Ethiopia, pipping Ethiopia, a 10-man Ethiopia. And, of course, we also had Cameroon facing off with Burkina Faso, and that ended in a 2-1 situation in favor of Cameroon. You could say they won by the skin of their teeth. 2 penalties, actually, that were scored. But we are facing off with Morocco today. We'll be bringing you details of that later in sports in respect of how things will pan out or what we should expect. GFL Guta welcomes suspension of benchmark value reversal. That story as well on page 16. Another issue we're delving into, let me get you some details. And it says, the Ghana Federation of Labour and the Ghana Union of Traders Association have commended President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for directing the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority to suspend the implementation of the reversal of discounts on the benchmark value policy to pave the way for broader consultations with stakeholders. They said the directive would bring some sanity into the trading community. And the General Secretary of the GFL, Mr. Abraham Kumsin, has said his outfit had anticipated job losses because of the imminent collapse of local manufacturing companies had the discounted benchmark policy in its current structure been implemented. So we'll bring you details of that. Where do we go from here? The president has called for broader consultation when it comes to this situation. But what exactly is going to happen moving forward? How will the traders react? Guta, for example, we'll find out. SIM card registration, telcos beef up logistics. And this is a thorny matter. Very tricky situation, difficult one here that we have to deal with. There have been communications recently from the National Communications Authority. But if you've seen the queues, if you've seen, people languishing, baking in the sun, so to speak, you would know that there are issues to actually look at when it comes to the SIM card re-registration. MTN, for example, and other telcos have said that they are putting measures in place. My church, for example, my parish, we've been told that come next Sunday, they will be available to re-register us and all of that. So what are the mechanisms being put in place to ensure that, all and sundry can register? You can check out the details here as well from the front page and page 3. And at least we know that Dr. Ken Ashigbe, who is Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Telecommunications Chamber, he's been talking on this matter, and he's also been making mention of the fact that they're going to do whatever they must to ensure that the telcos offer us what is needed so everybody can get registered. Other stories in the Daily Graphic newspaper. Mamitiwa, new Iyoko boss, and there have been different reactions to that. Let's take a quick look at some international stories in the Daily Graphic newspaper. Sudan protest group rejects talks with military, and death toll actually rises to 200 in respect of that Nigeria motorbike gang attack. And per the BBC, at least 200 people in Nigeria's northwestern Zamfara state have been buried after a wave of vicious attacks by gangs of gunmen over several days. You can also check out other stories on page 17. Ghana on the Security Council, what it means for us. Some prominent people have been responding. And on the back page, a Tugas hat-trick powers Kotoko to sink Ash Gold. And you would notice that Kotoko now sitting atop the league log with 26 points. That's it for the Daily Graphic newspaper. Let's take a quick look now at the Ghanaian Times newspaper, my very next one. And it says, government suspends benchmark reversal. President recommends wider consultation. And that has been hailed as a good directive in the interim. Black Stars Morocco in cagey clash as president urges team to win the trophy. But, you know, we must be realistic here. And I'm not being unpatriotic as an individual. I'm just saying that we must be realistic. What players do we have? What is the quality? We're lacking, you know, the likes of Mohamed Kudus. Afenajan refused the call-up. We have some injury problems. Will Thomas Partey and his crew be able to deliver the goods at this level? We've done it before when our team was touted as not being exactly cut. We went to the finals. It's just that we couldn't go ahead and win it. But with this group or this crop of players, and considering the fact that just a few days ago, last week, we lost by a thumping 3-0 to Algeria. What is it going to be like? Today, we find out as we kick off our campaign against another North African team, Morocco. 3 back governments plan to enforce COVID-19 mandatory vaccination. And Ghana National Fire Service personnel under investigation over stolen 30,000 Ghana cedis. This makes for interesting reading, actually. So a few of the details there. It says the Konongo Police Command in Ashanti is investigating some personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service in Konongo for allegedly stealing money and items belonging to a chief. The personnel are believed to have stolen 30,000 Ghana cedis and personal effects of the late paramount chief of Setre traditional area, Berima Brechum Ochiri Bediako II, who died in an accident on the Kumasi-Accra Highway on December the 22nd last year. So why is it of such concern and so curious? Because this person passed in an accident and he had these items with him. It is alleged or suspected that these fire service personnel actually stole the items. And so that is the story there. Man allegedly strangles boy, 12. That's also on page 3. It's a gory read, actually. And the Amfoigan District Police have arrested Al-Hassan Kosi, 20, in connection with the alleged murder of a 12-year-old boy at Awate Tuji near Amfoiga in the Volta region. A brief by regional police said investigations revealed the suspect, who was a neighbor, sneaked into the room of the boy's mother and stole 100 Ghana cedis. It said in the process, the boy caught the suspect in the act and threatened to report him to his mother. Kosi, in a bid to prevent the boy from reporting, attacked and strangled him. I believe the full rigors of the law ought to be handed to this gentleman in this respect. That is, even if I can call him gentle. In other stories, some of them captured already by the Daily Graphic, so I'll not go back to them. But Bono East Regional Minister commends police for enhanced security. And on the back page, Cameroon beat Burkina Faso in Nations Cup opener. They were fortunate, if you like. Their strength was able to get them through to get to the next hurdle. We've been joined at this point by Professor Ransford Jampo via Zoom. Professor Ransford Jampo, of course, a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana, Political Science Department, among other things. Prof, a very good morning to you.
Hi, good morning.
It's a great pleasure to have you join us this early in the day. Thank you so much for your company. I know you have a stack.
Ideally, I wasn't going to be up by now. You woke me up from my sleep. UTAG is on strike. We have been teaching all this while. We also want to rest a little. I am surprised you use our relationship to get me to be up by this time. Otherwise, I should be sleeping.
Thankfully, some of us have a relationship with you, and we can pull the strings from time to time. Thank you so much, Prof. I know you have a stack of papers there with the headlines, so I'll throw the ball to you. Which ones are you going to be starting with? Any topical issues that you'd like to address?
Oh, but in your review, I didn't hear you talk about UTAG strike. I think if there is anything to start with, it should be UTAG strike.
Okay, so here's the bit where it's a full-length discussion. In fact, we started the show talking about it, the conditions of service and everything. But since it is an issue that affects you personally and your community, and since you are secretary of the UTAG at the University of Ghana, you can share with us the latest. Your strike starts today.
Yes, if I don't talk about it, I won't get the presence of mind to talk about any other thing. Well, as you may have been informed, a communique was issued last Saturday to all members, directing them to proceed on an industrial action indefinitely. And essentially, it's been because of the worsening condition of the university teacher. And we've been battling this from 2013, 2014 up to date. Government decided to freeze a component of our salary called market premium. And then the idea was that we're going to conduct a labor market survey, and based on that, we'll know the appropriate market premium to pay you. So a certain component got frozen, and then they actually went out of their way to do a labor market survey in 2014. And then we're expecting that they would implement the outcome of the market survey of the 2014. But unfortunately, they didn't implement it. And anytime you go talk about the fact that a component of your salary has been frozen, they will tell you, oh, wait. So from 2014, the survey results never got implemented until the 2021 that we said were going on strike. They said, per directives and principles of the single spine salary policy, every 5 years, a labor market survey would have to be implemented. Now, you have conducted a market premium in 2014. You didn't implement its findings. When we're asking about it, you said you are going to conduct another labor market survey to be able to implement a market premium. You said, okay, first one you didn't implement. Let's see what happens. So
Well, it appears technology is kicking in, and okay, go ahead, Prof.
Yeah. So they went to conduct a labor market survey in 2021, but backdated it to 2019. And when we said we wanted to go on, they said, "Oh, come and see this report. We have done a labor market survey." And so we are asking, what does that mean if you have conducted a labor market survey? So what? We don't eat service. We know that you conducted one in 2014. You didn't implement its outcome. You're going to conduct another one in 2021, backdating it to 2019. We said we should come and see. What is it? What is in the labor market survey for us? It is only a bureaucratic bottleneck that pampers the university lecturer, telling him or her that, you are a very highly skilled labor resource, and also you are a very scarce resource. That's all it tells us. But it's just like, so given as this description, does not translate into salary increment, and it does not improve anybody's conditions of service. So we see some of these attempts as very, you see, over the years, the university teacher has been minding his business. The university teacher is very calm. He's been very calm, concentrating on teaching and research. And they are oftentimes not radical. And because of that, I believe policymakers and politicians have exploited this to their own advantage. So let us...
So just to chip in, Prof, just to chip in, I don't want to turn this into an interview because that's not what it is. But do you sense some trickery here then from the process from 2013 and the lack of implementation, 2013, 2014, 2019, and this latest one? Is it mere trickery? And is it why you are embarking on the strike today? You don't have faith in the process. You don't think anything will come out of it.
It is the Machiavellian tactics and the use of cunning ways, lies and deceits that sometimes even cause anger among our constituents and they give directives as to what we should do.
Right.
When we said we were going to go on strike, we didn't hear anything. They waited about 3 days to the time. They said, oh, please come and let us do a presentation of the labor market survey results to you. We had already written to them that if you say you are conducting a labor market survey and you are done, give us a report. We are intellectuals. We have the mental capacity to be able to read and to digest and to understand. They told us, no, we won't give you the report. Then when we said we are going to go on strike, they said, oh, tomorrow come and we'll do a presentation for you to appreciate what is in there. And these are all part of the Machiavellian strategies that they have over the years deployed against teachers. But you see, for now, the crop of university teachers we haven't are not hostile. The crop of university teachers we haven't are now ready to go the full hog to fight for better conditions of service.
How long, Prof, do you expect to go ahead with this? How long? Is it indefinite? Are you going to do this till you get the proper responses from the authorities?
The directive is an indefinite strike, and we don't like it. I mean, who loves to go on strike?
Right.
The best thing I can do is to talk, is to read, research, and talk to students. And so I love to go to the classroom to teach. We are not happy about this, but it appears. I've heard people like the eminent Otumfuo or Tutu saying that the strike is not the best option in terms of negotiation, and so we shouldn't be using strike. And I'm asking, is Otumfuo suggesting that there is something that we are not doing well? Please, I think that if he would delve a bit much into the matter, he would appreciate the fact that we've been doing all the talkings, we've been doing all the negotiations, we've been doing all that we can. But it appears that they feel that, excuse my language, but they feel that maybe university teachers are so docile and foolish. And so they can always maneuver their way by using deception and some cunning Machiavellian tricks to just outrage us, to compel us to accept
your point right there is very clearly made. And I'm sure, looking at even the communique that you put out, the release from UTAG, it encapsulates these ideas you are sharing. And we'll see, moving forward, what pans out from there. But there's this other bit, just tied to industrial actions and all of that. I just wanted to run this by you. You know that the Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana, they are also planning something, not a strike, because some months ago, the drivers groupings or the unions decided that they were not going to strike, they were not going to increase fares, but this time they would go on a strike, they would not operate. And we all saw what happened that day. I think it was a Thursday or so, or a Tuesday. This time around, we have the Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana, and they are saying something. They are saying that on the 17th, that is next Monday, they are going to increase their fares by about 40%. You purchase fuel, so do I. What is your quick thinking on the sharp rise or hikes in fuel prices and this intended increment? How do you think Ghanaians are going to react? How do you react, Prof?
Well, is it sharp rise? It is almost like a daily rise matter. I mean, now if I go to buy fuel, I ask, what is 1 gallon? What's the price for 1 gallon? It goes on and on and on and on, and but nobody cares about what happens to the one who buys. Fuel price keep increasing. Nobody is thinking about your salary or your conditions of service improving. And you increase fuel pricing, and the vehicle owners also buy fuel. And so there is an extent to which they can tolerate some of these things. But it gets to a point, they may also would have to pass on the cost to the ordinary customer, so that we would all have to feel it. If things are tough, it shouldn't be borne by a few people. If things are tough, we must all feel. If we are all supposed to tighten our belts as a nation, I've always been taking this, I'm saying this and taking issues to our politicians. They have the penchant for telling the ordinary citizens to tighten their belts. And then for them, they would eat, their stomach will blossom, and then they will loosen theirs. I mean, you cannot let us see your stomach blossoming and you loosening your belt, and then you will say that we should tighten ours. If we should tighten our belts, we all must feel it.
Right.
So let's also put in place arrangements that ensures that those who draw free fuel from the state also buy fuel.
Okay.
If we all do this, sometimes if you don't have a direct feeling of it, you think that it is something that,
and I want to ask you, we say it you are not coming to your dream, but
I mean, so many of the politicians.
I think we've lost the feed for Prof again. Professor Jampo, can you hear me? Okay, so Prof will be joining us shortly. He has a little challenge. But one thing I was going to quickly run by him from the Daily Guide newspaper has to do with the fact that MPs are sitting on January the 25th. And if you look at the Daily Guide newspaper, it says more blows to come. That is what is captioned there, more blows to come. And we've seen that in the 8th Parliament, it's been unique, negatively unique, actually, if I may put it ironically or sarcastically, because they are always at each other's throats and throwing punches and all of that. So I wanted to find out from him what his take is as Parliament sits again. Prof, welcome back. Thank you for joining the conversation.
I am here, and I am on strike. I don't have internet in my house. I have to go to the office to be able to get internet, and I'm using the phone to hotspot to my laptop to be able to talk to you. And people are calling. People are calling the phone.
Stop calling, Prof. Who are those?
That's the reason why the internet is. I'm having. Allow me to make my point, my brother.
Okay, so Prof, thankfully they've stopped calling. Let's look at Parliament sitting on January the 25th. What would be your quick reflection on the 8th Parliament now that they are returning to the August House ahead of discussions concerning the e-levy, the budget proper, and all of that? What are your expectations?
Well, the 8th Parliament is a hung parliament. A hung parliament is a two-sided, presents two-sided options to us. You can make it chaotic, you can make it calm. Okay, elsewhere it's been chaotic. Some other countries it's been calm. If it's going to be chaotic, it will be because people would want to flex their muscles. If politicians want to flex their muscles, if majority group want to assert a certain strength that does not exist, if minority group would want to also be intransigent and say that we also have the muscle to flex, then it's going to be chaotic. It's been so in many democracies, but in an effort to climb higher the ladder of democratic progression, you copy from best practices. And so even though a hung parliament is oftentimes susceptible to chaos and parliamentary brawl, there's been other parliaments that are hung that have been peaceful. And so I would urge both the majority group and minority group to appreciate that all over the world in Africa, Ghana is hailed as a beacon of successful democratic story. Right. And so we should live according to the accolade and description that has been given to us. Let the majority group appreciate the fact that they don't have the muscle to flex. Let the minority group also appreciate the fact that you have an elected government that has the mandate to govern. And so you cannot also unnecessarily thwart its effort.
Right.
That tomorrow, if the tables turn, it could be you. And so let there be a sincere dialogue amongst them. I'm going to talk about this thing that we are told the president has directed that the
reversal of the benchmark values.
It be kept on hold for a pending further consultation.
Right.
I'm pleased that the president has done that, and I was thinking that if the president do that, then he should also give a directive that let us deepen sincere consultation with a view to building consensus, so that when the e-levy is tabled before Parliament again, we wouldn't have parliamentary brawl.
So you want that also to go up for consultation, but you know that these deliberations must take place in the House of Parliament, or you want it to be brought out, put to the general public for us to express our opinions of it. There are 31 million of us. How is that possible?
No, that is not. I'm talking about our representatives. Sometimes we're talking about sincere dialogue and sincere consultation. When we talk about sincere dialogue and consultation, it's not that type of dialogue that you go into with your own position in your head and you don't want to do give and take. You don't want to agree to anything. It is either my position or then nothing. Then there is deadlock. No, you go there, you have your position that you clearly articulate, but then you listen to the other side and then you try to meet each other, halfway through. And this kind of dialogue oftentimes must go beyond Parliament to include people who are outside Parliament, but who wield extensive influence over parliamentarians. So
like which kinds of people?
I was happy and excited when I was told, and I heard that Gabi Ochedako had reached out to President Mahama and then had engaged him in a certain kind of discussion of issues, I'm sure, including this e-levy thing. If he is reached out to and other people are reached out to, they also are influential on their members of Parliament. And so they can talk to them, because at the end of the day, Ghana, the MPP has been is in power. The NDC has been in power before. And the kinds of things that is done to a party in power is done to the party in opposition when it gets to government too. So some of these things, you have to dialogue genuinely. And I know it's been difficult for a relationship to be built between Mahama and Akufo-Addo, because Mahama has not formally conceded defeat in the last election. But in spite of that, Gabi saw the need to go talk to him. And I'm saying that these are some of the measures and approaches that we will have to resort.
The feed there again, and these interruptions, but that is technology for you. And once the calls come in, we'll face these challenges. We're still with Professor Ransford Jampo, who has joined us. Let's quickly take a look at the Finder newspaper. When we get back, or when he reconnects with us, we'll go back to that issue he was talking about.
Please, I'm here.
Okay, so quickly, I just wanted to find out from you, Prof. Do you feel, some have suggested that it should have been President Akufo-Addo reaching out to former President John Dramani Mahama, showing leadership, so to speak, in that instance, and not Gabi Asare Ochredako? Your quick response to that?
Well, it's there are courtesies and protocols politically. Okay, if I've been elected president and you still are challenging my presidency by not conceding defeat, it becomes a bit difficult. But I can tell you
but to be clear, after the election petition and all of that, I believe he did concede. He did concede through his utterances, through his mannerisms. No. He did state that he did not accept. He did not accept what the court had arrived at as a decision or its ruling. But he had no option. I mean,
please, that is not how to do it. What you do in advanced democracies that we are copying is you pick up a telephone and then you put a call to the other party, regardless of how dissatisfied you may be. And that is the democratic norm. Okay, so if he's not done that, then it will become a bit difficult.
Right. Okay. Prof, let's do the Finder newspaper, and then we shall wrap. This is what time will allow us. But it says Ishmael Ashite served faithfully Dr. Bawumia, of course, as they were mourning him. Road crashes killed 2,924 in 2021. That's a 12.94% jump over 2020's figures. I'll just give you a little snippets of that as we wrap on the news review. And so data coming through from the MTTD reveals that a total of 2,924 commuters were killed last year in road crashes compared to the 2,589 killed in 2020. That's an additional 335 people that were killed last year. The male-female ratio, the males are in a comfortable lead, or very uncomfortable lead, I should say. 2,381 compared to 543 females. Then we also have 831, that is 28.4% of persons killed being pedestrians. They were just minding their business. Then 1,266, that is 43.2%, killed by motorcycles. 997, that is 34%, killed by commercial vehicles. And then 661, 22.6%, killed by private vehicles. 7,295, that is 46.5%, were injured by commercial vehicles. And so there's a lot more that you can check from page 2 of the Finder newspaper. Just to take a look at others, there's also UTAG and their strike, and the Daily Dispatch, just to wrap. It also says Ken Bediako's down memory lane on AFCON 1982, the last time Ghana won. And 1982, wow, that's what, 40 years? Anyway, Muftau is standing by. When we start with sports, I'll be throwing some, not punches, but questions to him. Do we still have Prof Jampo? Are you still with us?
No, I've been here.
Great. So just to wrap the conversation this morning, right before we get into sports.
So I was saying that there is no way Gabi can reach out to John Mahama if President Akufo-Addo does not give his blessing.
Right.
And so it is an indirect way of reaching out to President Mahama. And I like the fact that Mahama is in his usually affable self, accepted to dialogue with Gabi. And I'm looking forward to that kind of dialogue that took place, translating into a certain influence over parliamentarians as they sit again to discuss issues or burden on matters of national importance. But I quickly want to talk about the reversal of benchmark values. Yeah.
So, Prof, 30 seconds on that, very quickly. 30 seconds.
No, you see, the point is this. Why did government do that? You see, I back government in introducing that policy. Any country that overly imports and does not export would always be confronted with balance of payment issues. And the problem in our part of the world has been that we have looked on for a long time for us to indulge in so much importation.
Right.
And so it is wrong. If we want to fight underdevelopment, we cannot spend all our effort in.
Have we lost Prof? Well, Prof, our apologies. It appears technology is actually dealing with us this morning. But we're very grateful you joined us, and we look forward to the next time. But we're moving on to sports now, and like I mentioned, about 40 years, 1982 to 2022. Muftau. Look, it's been, I don't know what to call it, but we've always come this close, but no farther. We did was it Senegal 92?
Senegal 92, AFCON 2010, AFCON 2015.
We've come this close. But interestingly, I think it was 2010 when we had a crop of players that we didn't suspect would make it to the finals. But they did. Yeah. Do you see that happening this year? I mean, for AFCON 2021, because we missed it.
Milovan Rivas says that being tagged as underdogs is a plus for him and his team, and they're going to cause a surprise. So we are hoping that they can do so.
A surprise like a few days ago against Algeria? No, something else?
Okay, so that game was more of a preparatory match, one that he wanted to see what he could give out to the general public when the main competition starts on Sunday and when the Black Stars starts their campaign today. So I think that it was an opportunity for him to find out whether, in the absence of some of the core players he's got, the youngsters he gave an opportunity to play against Algeria, they can step up. And indeed, though it was an awful performance, I think that some of them showed that when they are given an opportunity to join the best players he's got, those he has confidence in, they can deliver. The likes of Joseph Pencil, the likes of Fatah Isahaku, Edmond Ado, these players, when they
Isahaku did well on the day.
Yeah, he did very well. When you give them an opportunity, they can always fit in. And you read from Ken Bediako's who take us through the memory lane. Funny enough, he's one of the 2 journalists who are still alive. Out of the 7 journalists that went to cover the African Cup of Nations in 1982. That is a whole 40 years. Solid 40 years.
Think about the wealth of experience. But right before you go, you must get into the sports and you'll give us the details. What's your prediction for tonight? I'm putting you on the spot. Ghana, Morocco. What's going to be your prediction?
Ghana will win.
By what margin?
The margin I cannot tell.
Is this realism or patriotism?
It's realism.
Realism?
Yes.
All right, take it away, Muftau.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks very much for joining us for AM Sports. I am Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Let's start from the camp of the Black Stars of Ghana, where Milovan Rivas has said that the decision of many to tag Ghana as underdogs in this year's African Cup of Nations is actually a plus for him and his boys because they're not under any pressure to deliver. However, they're better placed to surprise everyone.
Yeah, COVID is a serious issue these days, and I've seen that some of the teams had problems, and this can affect the teams very much in this competition. For us, we did our PCR test yesterday, and everybody is okay, so we don't have any problems, and we hope it will stay that way in the future.
Protiv Maroka, tako da to je iza nas, a ta utakmica nam je poslužila da vidimo ono što smo i htjeli.
You know that this situation with new rules that players should stay in the clubs totally affected our game preparations, and we're supposed to play 2 matches before Algeria match, but these matches had to be cancelled since we didn't have many players. Even many players arrived just day or 2 before Algeria match, you know, and it was these circumstances were, you know, so difficult for everybody, but at the end, you know, this is in the past, and we got from this match what we wanted. We are feeling confident. We know what we can do, and we are very positive about the next match, because we always think for the future. So this is something that we really are focused on now.
Nema potrebe da se oni opterećuju, jednostavno da ćemo sve od sebe da uzmemo taj trofej i nemamo ozbiljnih povreda za sada.
We don't have any serious injury issues in our team. About expectation, and people should be positive, you know, because they shouldn't think about this previous match as something important. Competition starts today. For us, it starts tomorrow. So we are taking one step at a time. We have full faith in everybody around us. Players are ready to go, and we have the quality. We have the passion for this, you know. We are dedicated. We know how important it is for all Ghanaians. For us, every next match is the important match, the most important match. So first we are thinking about playing this group stage and going to the next stage. So every next we will just focus when the time comes, and we are all aware how important it is for Ghanaians, but for all of us, you know. This is something that we are very passionate about, so we will do everything we can to make everybody in Ghana happy.
Niko nas ne svrstava u favorite, kao što vidite.
Nobody consider us as favorites even before the competition, but we are here to try to prove them wrong. It's good for us.
And how will the Black Stars prove the rest of the world wrong and Ghanaians wrong? Well, my colleague George Adejina was at the training grounds of the team and came through with this report.
So an important session for Coach Milivan Rayevac and his boys at the Amaju Ahijo Stadium annex after what has been a rather topsy-turvy preparation for the Black Stars ahead of the Africa Cup of Nations 2021. Yes, they moved into Qatar to prepare, but did not have the full complement of the team because of the agreement between FIFA, yes, the European clubs and CAF that were going to release the star players on January the 3rd. It meant that the team's preparation had been cut down to some 4 days, of which they played a friendly against Algeria and they lost by 3-0. All day, the Black Stars have looked very, very focused, especially at the press conference. Coach Milivan Rayevac says there are no injury concerns in camp. Andrew Ayew, the captain, says the Black Stars have been unlucky in recent years, and that's why they have not been able to win the competition. Well, we're all aware the Black Stars are far off favourites to win this competition. They definitely fall in that surprise package, and it's up to the Black Stars to show us what they really have got. We've been trying to find out what's going on in the mind of Milivan Rayevac ahead of this important game against Morocco tomorrow, which happens to be the Group C opener. At the press conference, he did indicate, yes, that Daniel Amate was played at right back only because Andy Adam did not arrive in camp, very early enough to play that friendly against Algeria. Well, Philemon Bafo as well was out there in Portugal trying to put together contracts. So it gives us an indication that there may be changes at right back. In centre back then, maybe Daniel Amate is going in with Jonathan Mensah. At left back, as always, Baba Rahman is up and running and hoping to get the job done. In midfield, Thomas Partey probably alongside Baba Idrissa. But knowing that Mubarak Okaso is fit, there could always be a big shout for experience in there. Down the left-hand side, Kamaldeen Sulemana, the red man, is in. And so it's going to be a little bit of a fight between himself and Joseph Painso, who plays his football for Genk. Also on the right-hand side, Fatau Sahaka, who picked up a knock in Algeria, friendly, is back and fit. And so it could be another little one there as well, between himself and Jordan Ayew. There's obviously Dede Ayew, and one of the strikers may just get an opportunity to play up front. The Moroccans trained earlier, and even though they're without their man Hakim Ziyech, they look like a side that could really pose a lot of problems. We're looking forward to that big game tomorrow, and it's going to be a special one. If the Black Stars are able to beat Morocco, it may just set off a fantastic campaign to what could be the end of a very, very, very bad drought for the Black Stars. Close to 40 years without an Africa Cup of Nations trophy. But the Moroccans will be also very eager to win this game, because the last time they won it was in 1976. And if they can beat the Black Stars, who knows where this can end. George Adu Jr. reporting from the Stadium Next at the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium. We'll be looking forward to that game between Ghana and Morocco.
And that game is rather happening tonight. 4 p.m. is a kickoff when the Black Stars comes up against Morocco, an opponent they met during the 2008 African Cup of Nations when it staged in Ghana. But still on the African Cup, and the opening game happened, and it was Cameroon who came up against Burkina Faso. Skipper of the team, Vincent Abubakar, scored twice from the penalty spot as the hosts came from behind to secure a 2-1 win. In the second game of the day, Cape Verde came up against Ethiopia, and the Ethiopians had received a red card in the first half, giving Cape Verde an opportunity to walk away with all maximum points by winning by 1-0. 3 points for the host, 3 points for Cape Verde, 0 points for Burkina Faso and Ethiopia respectively. Next up today is Ghana versus Morocco. There's also going to be Senegal, who will be in action, as well as Malawi. These are the teams that will be playing today. But let's do some Ghana Premier League news, where Kumasi Asante Kotoko once again extended an unbeaten run in a campaign to 4 matches after defeating Ashanti Gold in the Ashanti Derby by 3-1, courtesy of a hat-trick from Mbela Etuga.
In an attempt to stop the ball, the hand is not away from the body in an attempt to try and stop the ball. He's just throwing himself at it. There, look at the hand.
Penalty conceded by Osajiman, and the Cameroonian makes no mistake. It's Kotoko Wana's goal near.
Talk about confidence. He's in that mood at the moment. And Kotoko have the goal that he's just been craving for.
But it's Kotoko who regained possession. Mistake from Ampim Da Costa. It's a double for the Cameroonian. Frank Etuga. It's 2-0 here at the Babayara Stadium.
Asante Kotoko walking away with a 3-1 win in the Ashanti Derby. And this is how we wrap up AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. But your man, Benjamin Akakpo, is back on the seat and he's smiling. I don't know why he's so happy.
I'll tell you something. I am definitely a Kotoko man.
Okay.
Oh yeah, but you know that, right? Die hard. That's
why you've been laughing.
Yeah, exciting times.
But at a point, the team was struggling. You never showed these colors.
Oh, I did.
You showed them?
I was going toe to toe with anyone who wanted. And right now we have all the vim, the pep to Kumasi Asante Kotoko. I mean, you know.
So you're winning the Premier League?
Anyway. So this is what we're going to be doing.
Are you winning the league title?
Are we winning the title?
Yes.
It's still early days yet, but we showed great promise.
You've played 12 matches.
Yeah, 26 points, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we still challenge. The competition is a bit.
It's a bit. So you're not.
Look at even where Hartoguk, the champion.
You're thinking Echo and his team can do something, isn't it?
Oh no! If it will be any team, it will not be Echo and his team. Accra Hartoguk, not for now.
So we should forget about those.
You forget about them.
Okay.
Some people are not going to be too pleased with that, but let me just tell you this: we have a lot of big stories coming your way. We're going to be talking about the UTAG strike, which kicks off today. We're going to be talking about other matters. The benchmark values, the reversal, and the president stepping in. We're going to bring some of those topical issues to you this morning. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM. Listen, you don't have to worry if you miss Drive Time or Personality Profile. It's going to be live on our podcast page. Just log on to www.myjoyonline.com youtube.com/podcast. You can listen to Drive Time, Personality Profile, and any other of your favorite shows on Joy FM on that page. You don't have to miss a show at all. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Thank you for staying with us on the AM show, and we're delving into the big issues, the topical matters of concern, and we're going to be starting with that big one, which has to do with the University Teachers Association of Ghana embarking on a strike. It starts today. What are going to be the ramifications for teaching and learning in our institutions of higher learning? And what is it going to take, basically, to resolve the matters? That's the crucial question. This morning, we have Dr. Samuel Burt Bwedi Kusi. He is the president of UTAG on the University of Cape Coast campus. And then we also have Austin Gami, who is a labor consultant. Gentlemen, thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you very much.
All right. So I would like to start with snippets of the latest statement from UTAG, just to give us a very good idea what exactly the developments have been. Before the 10th, I remember engaging Professor Ransford Jampo, who gave us some sneak peeks into, what to expect as far as today is concerned. Today has arrived. And at the emergency meeting held on Tuesday and Friday, that is the 4th and 7th of January 2022, respectively, we heard the National Executive Committee of UTAG discussing the worsening conditions of service of university teachers and the failure of the employer in addressing the plight of UTAG members within stipulated timelines. Now, as a matter of urgency, the group has been asking government to restore UTAG to the 2013 bits of 114% of basic salary in the interim, while government goes ahead to formulate guidelines to implement what they call appropriate recommendations to address the conditions of service of the university teacher. So I'll start with you, Dr. Bwedi Kusi. Looking at this, stalemate that we have come to, could it have been avoided? 2013 till now, we've been dilly-dallying, we've had the recommendations, we've not made most of them. Coming to this point, is it because of a lack of will to do the right thing?
Thank you very much, and let me say good morning to your cherished viewers, and good morning to my colleague UTAG members. I think that your question is apt because, you see, we could have avoided this. For me, 2013, it's even pretty far. If you look at the recommendations in 2013, when we started with the white paper, which said that periodically there should be a review so that the market premium or appropriate market premium is determined.
Right.
These surveys were done and were never implemented. But just to fast track it, between August, when we called off our strike after listening to major stakeholders and saying that, look, we are in COVID period. We call off the strike, we're going back to teach so that the students can go home. Between August and now, at the negotiation table, we had said that October, government had said they were going to, in this case, let me use the word employer, not even government. The employer had said they were going to complete this labor market survey by October. At the negotiation table, we said, look, in order not to have a very tight schedule, October was so, because we called off the strike in August. Right. October was so close. So we would want to give an extra timelines of about 3 months up to December, by which time we expect that we would have finished with every details of the labor market survey, its technical reports that accompanies it, so that we know how much we are worth, so that whether we can be restored or we could be upgraded. Between that time and this time, we have written letters. We wrote letters to the fair wages to get a report. It was said that they have received a draft. They were forwarding it to the appropriate quarters for study, and then as soon as they get the green light on implementation, they will go ahead. We waited not until about somewhere last week, after we had threatened the strike, that in a crunch meeting, and that was last week Friday, we were given a copy of the report. And we were just not interested in the report because we have spoken about implementation. And so once we noticed that nothing accompanied the report, and given the fact that there had been this consistent delay, And even in the MOA that we had signed earlier, somewhere in August, some monies were even due us before 2021 ended. As we speak, all those things were not met. So it gives a clear indication that there are systemic delays. And so our call is very simple. If for whatever reason you cannot implement or review the market premiums or the entry market premiums within the shortest possible time, take all the time you want. But whilst you are doing that, restore us to our 2013 levels. And it's a very simple call, so that we don't continue to have these worsening conditions at the expense of taking time to complete all the technicalities that is associated with having to review the interim market premium. So this is where we are.
Right. For you, Mr. Game, what do you think about how this could have been avoided? And I pose a question from the backdrop that you have been in the thick of things all through, especially from 2013 till now. You've seen the industrial actions that have been embarked on. You have seen the legal tussles that have, this has drawn, and all of that. We're back to square one, so to speak, ground zero, where the teachers have had to decide to lay down their tools and not do what we, pay them to do. Do you think this could have been avoided? Why are we back to this point? What is your take?
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, and thank you. Let me be very clear. You see, income and income security for working people has always been of great concern to them. And therefore, anything that would devalue it for them, they do not want to give a listening ear to rate. However, like you rightly said, this is a running battle, and we've gotten to a place where it has to be resolved anyway. And I think that I've really got involved in this matter in recent, if you like, memes, and the UTAG officials, if you like, officers, were ready to give in and listen to the employer at the time to enable them complete whatever arrangements they have. Unfortunately, like the president rightly said, some difficulties made it impossible for implementation. But my way of handling this kind of situation is not to play with it as if delay tactics will help. It will not help. I think that the employer should open up. At this point in time, the solution will be to be transparent and open up in its entirety and tell the union that we are unable to either meet it this way, we will meet it the other way around, or we cannot even afford it at all. The choices are there. Either you are giving it all, you are giving it halfway, or you cannot afford it. Be transparent. Union leaders and people like UTAG are not the type of people who do not understand. They understand. They do know what really the circumstances are. Our economic conditions are very, very rough. And therefore, they are not the type of people who will not like to listen. So the employer should open up for them, because our educational condition will be derailed completely if our compatriots in the school with them will have to return home because of this challenge. That will be very, terrible for government, the employer.
So let me quickly find out from you. You spoke about some alternatives. I mean, if government cannot, or the employer cannot foot the bill, cannot meet the requirements of UTAG and all of that. But in the interim, what would be some of the likely alternatives that government could adopt at a time like this? Of course, we know about the constraints on the public purse. We know about the national budget issues. I mean, government has to deal with so many other things, and we have the Fair Wages Commission in there as well. What are some of the practical alternatives that we could be looking at this juncture?
Well, to be honest with you, negotiation goes with, I have this, I do not have it at all, or I meet what you have. That's and I wish I'm properly quoted.
Right.
I'm saying that the employer is likely to have it all to give it, and that ends the feuding. Or we have half of it, we would like to meet you and let you know, or we don't have it at all. Then you can go into specifics like, all right, if you don't have it now, when will you pay it? Do you think giving you 3 months, 6 months, 1 year will be okay with you? Then you can agree with specific timelines. Look, the union leaders there can read and write. They are the type of people who teach these things. Therefore, the positive assumption is that they know. If they do not even know all, at least they have glimpses of it. So be 100% transparent. It is dangerous for any employer, public or private, not to open up and be 100% transparent with his unions, union leaders, or working people. They really hate that. So if the employer can open up for them and let them know that, look, we cannot afford to pay this because of A, B, C, D. Or we can afford to pay half of it because of A, B, C, D. Or we cannot afford it at all. If you don't have a choice, and the way it's going now, what it means is that the union will have to take an entrenched position and say that, look, until you pay, we are not calling it off. And that is very dangerous for all of us.
Right.
So they should call them immediately to a meeting and open up 100% and let them know what the consequences are if we do A, or we do B, or we do C. They are people who can read and write. They will understand and appreciate the difficulties.
All right. The meetings so far haven't culminated in much. But let me come back to you, Dr. Bwedi Kusi. You are in the thick of things. You're actually experiencing this. And over the years, you state in your communique that your conditions of service have been diminishing over time and all of that. But there's also been the comparison. Some people go as far as calling you university lecturers downright, and I use my words carefully, it is not mine, it is theirs, downright greedy. And this is what they say. They say that even if you look across our sub-region and you compare comparatively to other countries, you are still doing better, getting much better. How do you respond to such people? How do you respond to that?
Thank you very much. I would say that is a completely an uninformed position. Yes, because even as we sit, and I'm sure the labor experts would speak to it. Yes, even though at the negotiation table we try to look at across the globe, and we have done a comparative analysis of what our compatriots in even our neighboring countries and within the African continent, what some of our colleagues are taking. But you see, at negotiations, it's really not about what other countries are paying. It's about what we as a country can do. And that is why, if you check what we have stated over the years as a union, we are not even demanding an increase. We are saying that this is where we started from in 2013. So from 2013 to 2022, if anybody would say that we are asking for too much, then I say that is a completely uninformed position, because we have eroded from 114% of our market premium as we speak to the 50s, the mid 50s. So if my salary has decreased and dwindled to that level, and you tell me that if I'm saying that please restore me so that I can make ends meet, because if I'm to quote or if I'm to show you the salaries of lecturers and even professors who are teaching in our universities, it is completely abysmal. So for anybody to say that we are greedy, it's completely from an uninformed position. They don't know what they are talking about.
How much, and I say this in respect of the $1,600 that has come into question in recent times, how much exactly does a university lecturer at whatever level, if you can do the breakdown for us, get in terms of research allowance, or at least how much are you supposed to get? Can you walk us through that?
Thank you very much. Let me, if you are taking only research allowance, and let me say that for the university professor or for the university lecturer, research allowance is key because you are promoted based on a certain number of publications. It's not just like in other professions where you work for a certain number of years, you get the years, and then you apply for promotion. So research is key.
Right.
So even if you are taking just the research component, we started with 500 Ghana cedis as at 2018. We went to 1,000 as at 2019. We went to 1,005, and I'm talking about Ghana cedis. And this is woefully inadequate to do any research.
Right.
And this is an annual payment, not a monthly payment. So the $1,006 that you are talking about, which we recently signed off, even that $1,006 is payable in 2024. You are looking at a graduation of some amount. Last year, that is 2021, government was supposed to pay 2,005 Ghana cedis. Out of that 2,005 Ghana cedis, 1,005 Ghana cedis has been paid. We still have an outstanding 1,000 cedis. And the employer was supposed to have paid last year. It is one of the issues which is outstanding. They pledged to pay by the end of last year. That has not been paid as we speak. Even in spite of all the givings that we gave in and called off the strike and all that, that amount which was supposed to be paid has not been paid.
Right.
This year, we are supposed to graduate from the 2,005 Ghana cedis to approximately 7,000, which a difference of about 6,000 being added to the research component. We are yet to even start the entire process. So basically, the university lecturer is surviving, and that is why if you come to, and it's a major concern to us, if you get to the universities, most of us are into other things. Most people will want to go and do supervision, go on distance teaching and all that, use their weekends, which they would have rested, to go and do all this just to be able to supplement and get something to top up. And it's not too good for our health. We are moving left, right, center. Yes, that is what everybody is doing in Ghana. But if things were better, I'm sure people would have slowed down because that's great implications for our health. If you check the number of colleagues who are falling down, who are dying, let me put it that way, and the age range and the causes of the death and all that, we have recently done quite a number of studies to look at how the causes of some of these sudden death and purely related to stress. So we really, and a number of our colleagues who are going on pension, they go home on pittance. So it's a challenge to us as a union, and we cannot, and that is why we are very serious about this whole issue about reviewing our basic salary, reviewing the market premium, so that there could be some consolidation on even our pensions. As we speak, you go home as a university lecturer, yes, even though our GUSS is relatively better, it's still not good enough for our colleagues who are on retirement. I have had the chance to interact with some of our senior citizens who were with the university, and they keep complaining about their pension, and we cannot continue to look on and let people suffer just by some level of delay tactics. But we think that is unfair to us, and it's a great worry to us.
Mr. Game, now looking at the labor component of this entire discussion, I'm talking about the law specifically. Are there any portions we ought to tweak? Because another aspect that comes to play has to do with the law itself and how it is, per what the union suggests, flouted with impunity. The employer does not honor promises made, even after past consultations and all of that. Are there any measures we ought to put in place in our statute books when it comes to the labor law itself to ensure that moving forward, these things, the employer is bound by these actions? It's not that the employer is not bound, but that it has to do what it says it would in terms of implementation. Where are we missing the plot, and what should we do about it?
Thank you. Look, let's be very honest. You must learn how to dance and not worry about the cloth you are putting on. Sometimes you may be compelled to say that it's your cloth that is worrying you. The law is very clear, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with the law that we have. The problem is the capability, the skill. Now, if you don't have something, you can't give anything out.
Right.
That is the point. Now, the employer has a responsibility to engage the union leaders.
Right.
If they engage them and they are 100% transparent and bring about sunlight on the thing, nothing should be kept under any dark cover. If you do that, because it's not only about pay per se. By the way, comparison with our neighbors will be the most dangerous thing to do because our economies are not the same.
Right.
We are all having challenges. You know, if you take Nigeria, you want to compare Ghana to Nigeria? What is it?
But just a quick one there, Mr. Game. I remember, for example, there was, I don't recall, but one of our institutions tried recruiting someone, I think, and the person, it was on social media from another country, and the person stated that even in his position in his university, this was how much he was earning, and coming to a supposedly higher position in Ghana and, you know, getting a pittance would not work. So wouldn't you say that being professionals, okay, these people are professionals, and it comes with extensive publications and how many years they have lectured, what titles they bear and all of that. Isn't it only fair that even in considering the fact that the countries are different, there is a certain base, a certain minimum that is expected? When you don't meet those minimums, can people not complain about it or make the comparisons?
Why not? That is something that we all do. But when it comes to situations like this, and people want to do comparison, that is what I meant by saying that we should not, at this point in time, venture into it. I've been in the trenches about negotiations, you know, across board, within and without. And I do know that comparisons can be made, but circumstances and the timing is very important. That's why he rightly said, look, don't try it, because if you try it, we'll run into a ditch. To be honest with you, our situation here with our lecturers, if you like, is as such that we need to be very honest and open and talk about it in a manner that will not run our educational system aground. If they do a lot of work with me also, and I can tell you that they are unhappy. Some of us have pleaded with them, even on our knees, and I suggested to them certain things they should do that would enable them go back to school at the time. And they responded positively, and they went back to school. Now they have started again. I want to tell you in very, very transparently that the employer has a responsibility to engage them now. I'm not talking about tomorrow, today, so that they can understand and appreciate the challenges they have, but on condition that they will not be vilified in the public domain the way we have been doing it. They are not, excuse my language, they are not stupid people. They are lecturers. They know what to do, and therefore, if we vilify them in public domain the way we sometimes do, as if they don't know, they will get entrenched, and that will make life very difficult for all of us. Let them be spoken to, and I can tell you on authority that they will listen. They know what to do. If they have to go back to school, they will go. Because if the employer do not have at all, there is nothing absolutely anybody can do. Let me say the last thing.
Right.
Look, the fear is this. They are demanding certain things. They want it negotiated. They want it paid. The fear of the employer sometimes is, if we give it to them, what about their comparators in the same system?
Right.
Will they come after them, the employer? Yes, they will come. And therefore, part of the thing is that, look, we cannot pay it, because if we pay, it means we must pay other people too. All these things should be made clear and put on the table. Because if we are paying people 7% for the year 2022, obviously, and our inflation is X, what it means is that there is a gap. And that's why restoration, the language restoration, is coming in. So we really need to be very, very open in this case and call a meeting urgently of not just the university lecturers after their engagement, maybe the negotiating committee meeting should be called by the fair wages so that they will engage to prevent people from going in pockets. Let's deal with the thing holistically and save the situation. We are in trouble if we don't know.
Chilling, the way you end there, we're in trouble if we don't know. I'm sure the employer knows, but it would depend on what we have in the kitty. But very briefly on this one, Dr. Abwedi Kusi. So from your statement, you seem to be a bit intransigent. You will not move, you will not be budged or bothered as far as this situation is concerned. What would it take if you had to meet the employer halfway? What would it take? What would be the minimum you'd look at in picking back your tools up and going back to work? What would it take?
Yeah. Thank you, my brother. As Mr. Game indicated, we have been very reasonable at the table. In fact, if you check the documents we submitted to the employer,
right,
we have even worked out scenarios, different scenarios, because these are the things we do. We have looked at the actuarial implications. We have looked at, done the projections and worked different scenarios and presented to the employer. That, look, we are very much aware that looking at the economic situation, there is no way you can pay everything to us. And so we have worked different scenarios and look at if you want to increase it by X, Y, Z and all that. So we are very open. But I think that the challenge we have as leaders of our union is that we come in, we listen, and then you go back to your members and you have so many things coming up. And especially when the employer does also not meet the timelines, it creates a certain level of distortion and a certain level of integrity crisis for everybody. And so as the labor consultant indicated, if we are very transparent, if we stick to our timelines, then we will not be here. And so for us, it's not an entrenched position at all.
Right.
But one thing that is sure is that if anybody wants to say we want to go to court, we want to do X, Y, Z, I will advise. If we take that option, then we are not ready for a solution, because we haven't created this problem. This problem has been created by the employer, and we have served notices. As far back as November, we started asking for implementation of certain things. These things were not done. We are ready to engage any day, anytime, but let us stick to timelines, let us stick to agreements, and let us be progressive. Things that we will do that will not continue to make us worse off or just to buy time to make us worse off. No, we are very clear in our minds that we will not budge to any of these things.
Mr. Game, thank you so much for your submissions. I know you have to bow out, so would call it a wrap as far as you are concerned. And thank you so much for joining the conversation. But let's now rope in the National Labour Commission, more or less the arbiter or the go-between in this entire situation. And we're joined by Ofosu Ampofo, who also joins the conversation, Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission. Thank you for joining the conversation, sir. All right, so we'll get to the Executive Secretary shortly, but the situation like we have it has to do with UTAG's strike, which has commenced today, that industrial action. And of course, we know it has left a sour taste in the mouths of many, especially the academic community across the country. The question is, how do we get past this hurdle? It is not something we are not familiar with. We are very familiar with it. But what do we do to ensure that the lecturers can also go back, that they don't have to do the sort of things, back-breaking work, working here, working there, just to make ends meet? How do we cushion our university teachers to ensure that they can also have peace of mind to do their work? In the interim, as we wait for the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, so we have Ofosu Asamwa, actually, who is Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, joining the conversation. Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
I was just interacting with Labour consultant Austin Game, and he was just talking about the fact that we are in a precarious situation, and if we don't, do something quickly, rapidly, we're going to face quite a problematic turn. Now, you sort of are the go-between, the arbiter when it comes to all of this fracas or this situation we are facing. has enough goodwill, and I know I'm throwing quite a question at you, but has enough goodwill been shown our teachers at the tertiary level, at the university level so far? They are on strike again.
Yes, yeah, they are on strike again. They have declared this morning. As of last week, I was of the view that things were getting solved because they seem to have agreed on a few things as far back as October and until last week, when one of their very last demands, amongst others, that is the access to the labor survey report, was given to them. So, though there were issues that were handled between them and the Ministry of Education and Finance, I thought that their immediate demand for which they threatened strike was access to the labor survey report, which was given to them. So it's really come as a bit of a surprise when the strike still had to come on today.
But hold on just a second. You're saying you're surprised they've embarked on this industrial action, but from time immemorial, I mean, well, maybe not time immemorial, but for the past how many years? 10 years? It's just been promises. The reports have come, the implementation has not been there. In fact, they cite that their benefits, their allowances have reduced over time. And last year, at the tail end of last year, action was supposed to be taken to forestall this. That action did not see the light of day. Are you saying in the mix of all of these, they do not have justification, for some justification at least, for putting their tools down?
I am not talking about justification, whether it's justified or not.
Right.
I am not talking about that. What I am saying is, if you go to the table and say, I want to go on strike because I haven't got access to this, because my book and research allowance has not been reviewed over this period, because of A, B, C, and D. So that if you are able to do this for me, I'll hold on with the strike, while amongst others, so that the others will be attended to. Then the preliminary ones, upon which you place or tie your strike to, is satisfied, whilst waiting for the others to be dealt with. And then you proceed on strike. That is where my surprise is. But as for the justification or otherwise, it is not for me to say at this time. It is the commission who will look at it.
Right. And so they have already embarked on the strike. Moving forward, at least from their end, what are some of the things that you feel could be done so that very rapidly we can do away with this situation and maybe the teachers can return? I mean, what has been discussed so far from your end, between the two parties?
This morning, as I talk to you, I'm on my way to the office. I'm in touch with the ministry. When I get to the office, I'm going to talk to the chairman of the commission and this thing, and then we'll do the move for it. But certainly, it calls for settlement.
What was the last statement you made? You're saying it calls for settlement. Is that what you said?
It calls for settlement. Once there's a strike, it means there's an issue. If there's an issue, it must be settled between the parties. So that is what we proceed to do.
All right. So I just want you to practically, I mean, you are at the helm of affairs. At least you are in there. You know, over the years, these situations have cropped up. What are some of the likely remedies we can have in an instance like this?
When parties are unable to agree, we bring in a mediator or we subject to arbitration. So, one of these forms of settlement.
Right. Well, Ofuswa Samoa, thank you so much for joining the conversation. We'll look forward to interacting with you later to find out what emanates after your interactions with the head of the National Labour Commission. But let me come back to you, Dr. Bwedi Kusi. Do we still have you? Do we still have Dr. Bwedi Kusi on?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So to wrap this conversation, you've heard from the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission. Of course, Austin Gami also shared his thoughts earlier. Moving forward, what are your expectations? What are you hoping to see today, maybe, and moving forward in the course of the week to ensure that you can also have some confidence in the process and reach out to your members to maybe return? Because for now it's indefinite, but what are some of the things that would trigger maybe a reversal of this industrial action?
Yeah, thank you very much. Before I move there, let me just correct an impression. The impression is that we were only interested in the labor market survey, and once we have it, that should be it. I think that is a wrong one. I think that the NLC boss should look at it again. We had requested for the labor market survey to enable us determine our next line of action. And again, if you check in the MOA that was signed, in fact, at the table, as I indicated, the labor market survey was supposed to be completed in October. We gave a leeway, about 3 months in addition, so that all the nitty-gritties could be ironed out. That did not happen. Now we only have the labor market survey without any technical reports that goes with it to say that, well, you are going to benefit at XYZ premium and all that. So we are clear in our minds on these things. So the emphasis should not just be the basic premise on which you want to go on strike has been given to you, and that is it. I think that is a wrong approach to the conversation. But as we said, we are open to dialoguing, and we have always said that we are really not interested in going on strike. No, that is not what we dream of, because at the end of the day, it's a deferred work. We'll come back and we'll have to do the same work which we have deferred.
Right.
And so we are looking for a quick resolution. And therefore, my plea to the employer will be that let us quickly rally around and have an honest conversation with the challenges that has arisen out even after we signed the previous MOA, why we still have outstanding payments to be made, even though those payments were supposed to have been done before 2021 ended. If we're able to be very transparent and honest about these things, I'm sure that minds will come to the table and we will be able to have a quick resolution to this. And I'm sure once the national leadership is convinced about whatever has been said around the table, we are ready and willing to return to work. But the most important thing is that we must be really honest with ourselves and make sure that whatever timelines we commit ourselves to, we abide by them. So for me, that is the way forward.
I'm happy that you say you are willing to return to work, but two things I take away: transparency and honesty. That's what you say you are looking forward to, and without those, that will not happen. Thank you so much, Dr. Bwedi Kusi, for joining the conversation.
Thank you very much for having me.
So those who joined us on this leg of the conversation, our big story is the first one we started with. It has to do with the UTAG strike starting today. And you just heard Dr. Samuel Bert Bwedi Kusi, UCC UTAG president. We had Austin Game, a labor consultant, and we also interacted with the executive secretary of the National Labor Commission in the person of Ofosu Asamoah. When we return after this brief break, we're going to be delving into more issues. It has to do with the reversal of benchmark values. The president had to intervene and ask the customs division of the GRA to halt the implementation of the process. Guta was in there complaining. There was the AGI, which also said that, no, let this pass. Let them feel the pinch and let's have a conversation on it. Where do we go from here? What is this going to change? All of that coming up on the AM show. Stay.
Hello, my name is Evans Mensah, and you can relive all the fun and excitement on Top Story, Newsnight, and of course, Ghana Connect via podcast. All you need to do is to log on to my Joy Online/podcast. Search for your favorite show and relive the moment. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Well, we continue with our conversation now, and it's the benchmark values that we're going to. We are joined by the Executive Director, Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. That is Samson Asaki. He joins us for this conversation. Mr. Asaki, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, my brother, and Happy New Year. I think in the beginning of the year, this is the first day we are engaging ourselves.
It's only fitting. A very happy New Year to you as well. And we pray for many good things for importers and exporters in the year 2022. I didn't hear an amen or something like that. I thought you'd be excited.
That's a grateful. That's a grateful.
Great.
Grateful to you.
Right.
Amen. To your prayers, yes.
Okay, so we've come to this and this bit about benchmark values. Some people even talk about the fact that other countries don't really have some of what we've been implementing here. But the benchmark values have, in a way, served, the importers to manage certain situations when it comes to the imports in the country and also control pricing. But we have the situation where in recent times we were told, as far as the 2022 budget was concerned, that there were going to be some removals and all of that. And that is where basically the trouble started. The unions started complaining. The AGI was in favor. And now we've got to this point where there's been the threat that if something is not done about the benchmark values, then costs of products from vehicles and all of that are going to go up to very high levels. Now, you representing the importers and exporters, the president has stepped in for now, asking for further or broader consultation. What is your quick reaction to that? An apt move?
Well, thank you very much. I would say that nobody was threatened. Nobody has been threatened, anybody so far. All what we've been saying is to just look at the condition prevailing at this point in time and explain to the general public and explain to the government that we strongly believe that from our lessons from Christmas to now, the purchasing power of the ordinary Ghanaian hasn't changed. The economic situation hasn't changed. And this is the first quarter of the year. You cannot say you are reversing such a bold, a very robust policy without also engaging with the stakeholders. And we stated clearly that when the letter purported to have written from the GRA Commissioner General to the Finance Minister, stating that they have engaged all the relevant stakeholders and it was time for them to implement it, that was palpable false, and we never had any engagement, and we were calling for an engagement. Yes, from 4th to today, the engine...
Mr. Asaki, just a quick point. So you're suggesting that it was falsehood being peddled when it was suggested that you had been engaged, the importers and exporters, you had been engaged, you were in the know, and this was nothing new to you. You are suggesting that had not happened.
We have made this categorically clear anytime we have the opportunity. In fact, even on the 6th of January, when we met with the finance minister and his management team, we made it clearly, and the finance minister even accepted that that was the first time he himself is sitting in the meeting to listen. And so that is not Asaki to say, that is the reality on the ground. And if you want, you can call my colleagues from Guta, you can call my colleagues from the Car Dealers Association, you can call my colleagues from Food and Beverages, you can call my colleagues from the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, Cuba, ICHAC, and the rest. And then they would tell you that what Asaka has said. And since my advocacy, my brother, you know me from Class FM to date, I have never come to the media and get through it dash into the eyes of government. From the previous administration to this administration, I have never. I always put things concrete, and the truth is always what I do. As advocate, you need not to be told that what you said was lies, and that is, your credibility is at stake. I am telling you on record that we were not consulted, and even when you want to know, I admit what I'm saying, you realize that when the GRA Commissioner was even issuing the letter for the benchmark discount values to be reversed, discount to be reversed, he did not even copy the stakeholders. They ought, in other jurisdictions, they were supposed to copy with the heads of the institution first, so that we can even inform and even give us time to inform the general public and to inform importers to prepare themselves psychologically, mentally, and fiscally before this policy was set out there. What this directive came, it came to create havoc, it came to cause fear and panic. And in fact, as we speak, people have gotten BP. Their BP have gone high because you just issued a letter on the first working day that we were implementing. And people who had even received their tax bill before on the 4th went to pay their monies, their duties, and they were blocked till date as we speak. I'm sure probably maybe you remember it was moved from on the 4th to on the 6th. Then on the 6th was when we had the meeting with the government, the finance minister, and then from on the 6th to 6th on the 17th. So as we speak, the only day that importer can go and take their cargo from the port probably is today, Monday. Because on the 6th, we had Friday, who was holiday. But let me come back to the point. Listen, we are not just raising issues. We are saying that whilst we bring goods to sell, we need to also think about the customers, the ordinary Ghanaian consumers. What are their economic status as we speak now? And we are saying that first quarter of the month, of the year, Ghanaians are going to pay school fees. Children are finished senior high. They are going to the university. They are going to senior high. Parents are going to buy things. You cannot. And let me give you a classical example. Before on the 4th of January 2022, when the benchmark reversal implementation should have taken effect, someone had received his frozen food container duty before on the 4th. I'm sure it gotten around 27th, 28th, 30th, 31st, thereabout. But because on the 1st, on the 2nd, on the 3rd of January 2022 was holiday, the person could not go to pay the duty. So he was supposed to pay the duty on the 4th. The duty was 42,000 Ghana cedis. But because benchmark reversal took place or was implemented, they blocked the system and they were asked to call custom. You call custom, they'll give you a code. The person go input into the computer. Then the duty has moved from 42,000 to 77,000. Another person due to move from 77,000 to 114,000. Ask yourself, if the person, such a person clear the cargo, can he or she be able to get market, to get a place to sell this? At what price? Can that person still be on business for government to get that person in the taxing to develop this our country? I strongly believe that government is to enable the environment for business community to flourish, then you tax them. However, I am very optimistic that the president have heard our plea. The president have heard our call. We have raised, and of course, you know, the business community are click. I'm sure probably someone who has also, an importer has also whispered to the ears of the president to say, look, Your Excellency, you need to do something with this, or else what pertained in 2019, when the economic management team gave these benchmark discount values to the business community, will prevail today. In fact, the conditions have not even changed. The conditions have even worsened. The plight of Ghanaians has even worsened. At that point in time, dollar rate was 4.5 to our city. Today, dollar is running about 7 Ghana cedis. Let me say it in that direction. As we speak now, there was no COVID-19. Now there's COVID-19, and there's COVID-19 levy at the port. When you are paying import duty, you pay COVID-19 levy. There was no financial service recovery levy. As we speak, the cleaning of the banks, the financial institution, there's a levy that is imposed on the business community at the port. At the time, the health insurance wasn't increased. It has been increased. At the time, the 3% flood rate was 3%. As we speak, it has moved from 3% to 4%. So yet, and of course, if you recall, you've been doing business, JoyNews, you've been doing business news all this while. You remember that between January 2021 to thereabout September, October, freight has moved up high astronomically. Freight was increased from over where people Yes, come in.
So myriad factors, I understand. But I just wanted to sneak in this bit to wrap the conversation. So is there any shape or form? And we know, I mean, how some of these things work. My mind goes back to VAT, though technically it's not the same thing we're looking at here. But initially the push and shove, and it's being withdrawn, and then subsequently brought back. And it's been maintained since. Is there a shape, a form, that the reversal of the benchmark values can take that will be acceptable to the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana? I mean, are there certain quantums that ought to be addressed, percentages that ought to be looked at that would be acceptable for you, or is it a complete no-no? Just give me an answer to that finally, and let's conclude.
Well, I'm sure you heard that the Finance Minister held some press conference, and in his press conference, the finance minister made mention that if government, he is very much aware that if government is going to reverse this benchmark values discount, definitely government will have to find a ways and means to mitigate the business community, isn't it?
Right.
We were thinking that ways and means to mitigate. Was it announced? Was there any engagement to that effect? Did the government tell us, I'm taking this out, I'm bringing you this? That hasn't done, and that is why we talk about there was no consultation. If there were to be consultation, they wouldn't have allowed the GNA to issue such a statement until we have received and say, okay, well, we've gone to round table discussion. If you go to negotiation, yes, you may probably, if you're a very good negotiator, you want to push together about 70, 80. But however, if you are, at the end of the day, you get 60, 65%, you will say, okay, well, it's not bad, isn't it? But that has not been done. As I speak with you, we don't know. We asked the minister when we met on the 6th of January 2022, and so that mitigation process wasn't brought. And so, if you are talking about a reduction in the percentages, isn't it? We don't know yet. We are not. We are waiting. The president has given direction. He says suspend it, do a wider consultation. I've seen other media houses. I never put on record. Other media houses are saying that the president has asked that from now to 17 will be enough. And I think that's not what the president have said. The president used the keyword wider consultation. Wider consultation cannot take from now to 17, then that will be enough. I strongly believe that we have to go beyond 17 that people are talking, including your good self, who are reaching these issues currently.
Samson, thank you. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Samson Asaki there with the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. And we wish you the very best in that enterprise. We're moving on to our third big story for the day. And JoyNews investigations, like we've always done, have uncovered how children are trafficked for a sum of as little as 1,000 cedis, 1,000 Ghana cedis, to work on cocoa farms at Eluokrom in the Western North region. One of the victims, Rashida, said her master started using her when she was just 11 years old. She told investigative journalist Kwete Nati that she wants to return to the classroom, which is actually where she belongs. We've got excerpts for you.
One trafficker who is responsible for the presence of many of these children in Eluokrom is Musa Kwabena. He says he entices the parents of these children to gain custody of them with the promise of exciting returns.
The woman, my buys 100 and no vanus by 100.
Oh, okay.
No crime himself. What did you say?
He has a network of traffickers in the northern part of Ghana, specifically Chereponi. They help him identify families with vulnerable children.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I know so no, I was any now she is Casonis County.
Into Bibisa, no send ya oma omomo. Aha. 200 Ghana cedi. Police for no. Say akolaka ho adena obekatrom. Ana en meka 200 cedis na ode bema omon. Okay. 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 He told the investigative team he would charge 5,000 Ghana cedis to traffic at least 10 children for us. Our cover story was that we needed children to work on cocoa farms urgently. He revealed one of the approaches he adopts to outwit the security officers is to forge the national identity of these children. 25,000 in Colorado doesn't now beat me diaba.
Okay, in Colorado, I said, yeah, look, say, also say, yeah, Mount Wisdom, say, if you met money by 6, you are 7. Oh. But maybe we can say no more crime. I say motor. Na kami dem kai no me motor car. But in Koran ma me hode eno dem count.
These costs increase the number of years these children spent working on cocoa farms at Eluokrom. Rashida was trafficked from Chereponi by Musa. She was in class 6 at a basic school in Chereponi.
I have said you will not buy on the million first one and then papa will go from million for
Working long hours is not new to Rashida. She says she has served 4 years already under her old master. She was just 11. She is now serving for 1,000 Ghana cedis, which will be paid to her parents. There is no intention of her master sending her to school. Another girl the investigative team came across is Memuna. She's serving 4 years for an amount of 1,200 Ghana cedis. She was also brought from Chereponi by the same Musa. When she isn't hawking on the streets of Eluokrom, she assists with weeding on the cocoa farms. She says her sibling is also serving with another master at Iluokrum. She's working for a lesser wage of 1,000 Ghana cedis.
12 million.
12 million, yeah, 1,002. 12 million.
And that is our latest hotline documentary, Children in Cocoa Labor. It leaves a lot of bad taste in the mouth. But here we are exposing, as usual, what ought to be out there. And hopefully some action will be taken. Look out for the full documentary at 8:30 p.m. on this very channel. Up next, if you can see Muftau and Nabila sitting here, it's because we are getting into the bit about AFCON 2021. You are warming up. You're too eager because I see that.
Well, it's been 40 years. I don't know how it feels to win an African Cup, so I'm warming up.
We'll be getting there up next. That's our final big story. Stay.
Hello, my name is Evans Mensah, and you can relive all the fun and excitement on Top Story, Newsnight, and of course, Ghana Connect via podcast. All you need to do is to log on to my JoyOnline/podcast. Search for your favorite show and relive the moment. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
And here we are, our final big story for the day, and it has to do with, well, maybe the biggest of them all, the Black Stars of Ghana. And no matter how things have gone, we still love the green, gold, red, and black star. We can't do without them. They are going to face off in their first match today, the Atlas Lions. That is quite a hurdle. Well, we have the discussion, and joining me in studio, we have Muftau.
Yeah.
But don't you forget, we're also going to have some others joining the conversation. Yeah. We'll have George Addo Jr. As well as Gary Al Smith. And maybe
Gary's
just someone else.
Gary's already
Hello, Gary. Hello. I like your excitement. You're pretty excited.
You know one thing.
Can you see us already?
The only thing he doesn't have is the ping pong that we always see in town. Ping pong.
Okay. So Gary has joined the conversation. Thank you very much. But let's quickly start with you. We have come to a crucial point.
Yes.
And the president has charged the team to go out there and bring the trophy. Ghanaians are saying you may not be in the best of shape, but it's still possible. Yeah. Is it possible?
It is possible. Ghanaians are not quite optimistic about the chances of the team because of how perpetually they've bottled opportunities that have come their way in the African Cup of Nations. Close as they've come, close they've missed. And the disappointment, when it is repeated countless times, you always have to get to that point where you give up. But I think that it is not beyond the doing of the Black Stars to surprise everyone, as Miller himself has put it.
Was it 2006 when we hosted?
2008.
2008.
Yeah.
And we couldn't.
Cameroon.
Okay.
Gave it to us in the semi-final.
Right.
That was a needle.
And that has been the script, quarter-final, semi-final, even final. And we are not able to make it.
Even until 2019, where we exited at around the 16th stage, we've always made it to the semi-final.
What do you feel? What do you feel? Some people have said in the past, we have problems when it comes to taking penalties. Yeah. And sometimes when we get to those levels and penalties, we are often the team that is being, sent packing, sent home. Some have spoken about the technical abilities of some of our players. Yeah. Some have spoken about the fact that sometimes we are too reliant on foreign-based, internationals, the ones we call the internationals and all of that. And we leave the local squads here, and then we go crying that the international, when they don't want to come home and all of that. Where would you place all of it? Some even say it's money. Where would you place it?
You see, Ben, this conversation is beyond anyone in the country, not even the president. Because,
and by president, do you mean the nation's president,
the nation's president? No, the nation's president.
Okay.
Because the point is that the exodus of players to the European market began in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
Players are professionals. You cannot stop a player from moving on to play for any club he wants to, no matter where the player.
It's in his interest. I mean,
it is in the interest of
development,
players,
and finances.
Everything.
Right.
So since the exodus of players in the 1990s, we've always found it very difficult to build a domestic competition that is so competitive and can put together the best 11 that will go out there and fight for the country. The last time we actually had a locally assembled team that was able to stand up against one of the best in the continent was in 2001.
Yeah.
The late,
when Hearts of Oak basically
the late Sir Jones Atukwefu assembled a Hearts of Oak team that came up against Nigeria and got a draw. Since then, we've always struggled to put together a team. These players will always go out there. The more they go out there, the more others see the greener pastures, how they're able to come back with the big cars and bold mansions, and wants to go out there. We cannot control. No one can control that. The best we can do is to assemble our players as early as we want, if we want to do that.
Right.
Egypt always does that. They're able to assemble
in fact, the North Africans, not just Egypt.
They're always able to assemble local players, come down for months, so that the foreign-based players will just come and join them for the competition. Ghana wouldn't do that. You and I will question how much government is spending on the national team.
Right.
And if we continue to raise questions about how much we are investing without looking at the end result that we are looking for, we'll always be back here and talk about our failures.
And in fact, our local league is still being played while we are participating in AFCON.
Yes.
That tells you about how tricky the situation is.
Well, that one, it has to do with the calendar. It's a calendar issue. We cannot control that one because we're supposed to actually sync our calendar with that of CAF in 2019, but we missed out due to number 12 and all that. So it's a calendar issue, but it has to be worked out.
We've been considered or rated underdogs, and mind you, we are in a group with Comoros, the Comoros Islands. We are in a group with Gabon. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's Gabon. He may not be doing so well at Arsenal in recent times. He's been stripped of his captaincy, but he always is a threat. We also have the Atlas Lions of Morocco in there. This tag of being underdogs, is it a good thing or a bad thing for us?
I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing in the sense that it takes away the pressure on the boys. It's a good thing in the sense that the boys feel that when they go out there, they have nothing to lose. Because people already say...
I guess we don't feel like the Guineans who's...
But the point is that when often you are tagged as the underdog, that is when you give off your best. That's when you want to go out there and prove everyone wrong.
Right.
So I think that it's a plus so that it takes away the pressure. But inbuilt in the boys, they will have that desire to go out there and prove the rest of the continent and even Ghanaians wrong. So it's a good thing for me.
Okay. Later on, when we connect with some of our other speakers, we will get into the bit about the teams, the squads, and the bit about the late arrivals of some people and what exactly to expect from there.
Yeah.
But maybe just before I connect with some of them, the Atlas Lions.
Yes.
Looking at our group,
yes.
I mean, I would, if I had to rate, I would put the Atlas Lions up there.
Yes.
There's also Gabon. Yes. Gabon and Ghana are sort of on...
Why are you putting the Atlas Lions up there?
I am looking at the FIFA rankings. Yeah. I am looking at, all of those factors.
I get you, Ben.
I'm looking at the FIFA
but
rankings.
Let's not forget.
I'm looking at the recent, what would you even...
The final match you played against...
Not even that. I'm talking about the record that these teams
recent performance
have. Recent performance, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So you look at Morocco, I would put them up there.
Yeah.
Gabon and Ghana in there.
Yes.
And then the Comoros, the last team. But there's, and I'll pose a question on that. You can't take any team for granted. Once they've qualified, look at what Cape Verde did to Ethiopia yesterday.
But Cape Verde has
a 10-man Ethiopia team. Yeah. But it means you can't take anything for granted. So do you feel our toughest test in this group is going to be Morocco? And if we get past this hurdle with maybe even a draw, it would bode well for us. Because two teams qualify, right?
A draw is still incomplete, though I think that if the team is going to even pick 4 points, they can still progress to the next stage of the competition because the third best placed team can still qualify to the next phase. But what is crucial for me is for us to look beyond the name Morocco and look at the players. I remember the 2008 African Cup of Nations, when they came to Ghana, many of them expected them to be that team that was going to rise against Ghana. Unfortunately, it never worked out.
It was underwhelming.
It was underwhelming for them.
Right.
Well, they have built themselves recently. Well, when they appointed Hervé Renard, he took them to the African Cup. He took them to the World Cup. Under Valihovic, they've been incredible as well. They've beaten Ghana in a final match when our Black Stars was still under the management of CK Akono. But I'm looking at a Morocco side that is not too exceptional as people want it to look. I'm looking at a Morocco team, though they have a certain chemistry in their play.
Right.
If you look at our Black Stars is a team that is also quite strong. You're talking about young players that many people have not seen them in a tournament situation.
So experience will count here.
Experience is likely to count.
We also have an experienced player.
Yeah, we have experience.
Every team is going to suffer it.
Jonathan Mensah has been at the AFCON since 2010, if I'm not mistaken, me right. Andre Ayew has always been ever present. The only AFCON he missed was the 2013 one. Jordan Ayew has ever been present. The last AFCON he missed was the 2013 one. So Thomas Partey played the 2017 African Cup, 2019 African Cup.
Right.
So these are players with experience. Barbara Man played the 2017 tournament. The experience, Thomas Partey too was there, 2015, 2017. The experience is going to count. It is the experience that will help them guide the young players who are in the team and tell them that in tournament situations, this is how we play. And you look at Morocco and expect them to come and present the biggest threat because of the quality of football they play.
Right.
But if you take a look at Milovan Rivals teams, they've always been is the optimism I have about this team going into this very tournament. And you talked about Gabon. Yes, Gabon is in a position that we are very familiar with. It's an opposition
They've dealt us some blows in the past.
They have done that in the past, but I'm not sure this is a tournament that they're going to do that to us. Then we come to Comoros. Comoros, they've improved massively. The last time we played them was 2015 when we were playing for the playoffs for the FIFA World Cup. And then the away game, Ghana drew 0-0. Yeah. Ghana came here and beat them 2-0. I remember a free kick from Mubarak Wakaso and Jordan Ayew scored that second goal for the Black Stars before we qualified to the next phase of the qualification stage. They have improved, no doubt about that. But against a country like Ghana, they'll be very cautious.
All right. So let's quickly do this. Let's go via Zoom as well and have some interactions. George Addo Jr. Is also standing by. George, I know you've been at the training grounds, right? What can you tell us about the team, the atmosphere, the body language so far? What can you share with us thus far, George? Do we have George with us? Let me try Gary then. I don't know whether you also have a fair, or you've had a fair view of the team so far, but from what you've seen from Milovan Rajvac's interactions with the press and all of that, what do you make of the team that we're presenting going into today's crucial match with the Atlas Lions?
And I'm sure Muftal has the predicted lineups that we put up, so we may go into it as both of you made, particularly about the overview of the group. Gabon, and not the Gabon, when they hosted and all that, they've been decimated. And Aubameyang of Arsenal, unfortunately, is the Aubameyang of Gabon. Now, two things have happened between the time that he left the Arsenal camp disgraced. He has been stripped of the captaincy of Arsenal because of persistent indiscipline, lateness to camp and all.
Right.
And everybody thought that Aubameyang would take this opportunity to go to Gabon, his national team, prove everybody wrong, and perhaps use a good African Cup of Nations to attract the interest of, because the transfer window is open.
Right.
So traditionally, if you do well between now and the end of January, it's like a shop window. You're asking people to come and buy you. If you do well, you put yourself out there to suitors, and then probably Aubameyang, or so we thought, will be bossed by another team and everybody will be happy. So Aubameyang goes to camp for the Gabonese camp in Dubai. They are there. They're about to finish their camp. They don't see Aubameyang in his room. where's Aubameyang? He and Mario Lemina, the two top players in the team, they went out to party. Not just that, when they came back with COVID-19. So as at a couple of days ago, Aubameyang and Mario Lemina had contracted the condition and they are isolating. So I don't know how they can rely on those two. But the thing, and you see, it's not like, COVID, the recent iteration of COVID, especially for those who are vaccinated, is that it spreads quickly, but it doesn't affect you like it would have if you were not vaccinated, the Omicron virus.
Right.
So he's not showing, he's asymptomatic, he's not showing any symptoms. He's very fine, even though he's positive, which means then that he can come back negative and then immediately slot into the team. But the way it bothers Gabon is that it has obviously affected their preparation, because as the player, as the star player and the captain of the side, you'd want him involved, in preparing the team and all that. So I don't know what's mentally happening to Aubameyang, but yeah, that's the situation with him. With the other teams in the group, I mean, it's all up there. The biggest opposition for Ghana on paper is the team that we are facing today. And ahead of the match, Milovan Rahevat said a couple of interesting things. Milo knows that many of us, including those in the studio and myself, don't have as much hope as we had in the team probably in 2010. And he said, nobody rates the Black Stars, nobody believes in us, and that's why we are here to prove them wrong. So hopefully that is what they are going to do. Andrea Ayew also says that, guess what, Benjamin, 50% of the team Ghana is presenting at the AFCON have never played at an AFCON before. 50%. That is not good, because it means that per the law of averages and percentages, you are likely going to present a team of newbies on the field of play against Morocco. Yeah. However, that may be a disadvantage, but that can be an advantage too, because it means then that the opposition will not have a lot of material to look at, in order to prepare for you, which means that you can spring a surprise or two. And that is what we are told Milo is doing. This is the first time in a very long time that I have seen a Black Stars team going into the first game of an AFCON, Benjamin, that we cannot predict the starting lineup. Indeed, there are up to 3 different starting lineups that we know can happen in today's game.
Okay. So that itself is a cause for concern. But just hold your horses, Gary. Let's also interact with former Ghana international Yao Preko, who also joins the conversation. Mr. Preko, a very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Great. So let's just dissect it. Let's hit the nail on the head. And Gary just set the tone. This is the first time that we're having a squad, at least in a long while, where you can name about 3 starting teams. What do you make of the current squad that we are sending into AFCON 2021?
I think they are the ones that we have at the moment. And I can't see any surprises in the team. I think basically what we've seen from the qualifier, except I think Kudus, who is not fit. The rest, I think everybody is in camp. Hopefully, they will be fit to give us a good show this afternoon.
In our group, it's pretty tough. We have the Atlas Lions, we have Gabon and Comoros. People are thinking they are going to be the whipping boys, but who knows? I mean, football is a game of skill and chance. How many points do you think we can take from this group? I mean, I'm putting it to you. You've been there, you've done that. Do you think we can take points away from Morocco? Can we draw? Can we beat them? Gabon is also there with their own issues.
The tournament is full of surprises. You just have to be very, very careful. You don't have to go in and be thinking I'm African best, or we have what it takes to qualify to the next stage. You need to take it game after game, minute after minute, and then you see how it goes, because there are clubs, they find it difficult to qualify for a tournament, but when they are in the tournament and they are underdogs, they can surprise you. So the Gabons and the
Comoros.
Comoros, yeah. We shouldn't underrate them. But the first, we have to think about this game against Morocco. And then we think about the other two games. Because this is a tournament, like I said earlier, it's going to be very, very, very difficult, full of surprises. And we need to just take it game after game. So first of all, we have to think about Morocco, and then we see about the other games.
Yeah, Preko, my colleague in the studio, Muftar, has a question for you. But before we get into that, so what's your prediction, very quickly, ahead of today's match? Morocco-Ghana, what's the scoreline for you?
I see Ghana winning.
Ghana winning by what margin?
A slim margin.
2-1, 1-0.
But I think I can see we have a go in this game.
All
if we're able to score one, Milo and his one-goal project will protect it. But I see Ghana winning or a draw. I don't see us losing.
Okay.
So they're already afraid of us.
Okay, so Preko, if you see Ghana winning, what would it take Ghana to get that win?
We just have to play with confidence. Look, everybody knows we are struggling when it comes to Cup of Nations. We are struggling to show our capabilities. And definitely everybody will tip Morocco to win. But we have what it takes. We have what it takes. Our boys, I strongly believe if they come to the party, the Moroccans will struggle. I remember when we played against under City Economics regime, we played against Morocco. It was one of our best games.
Right.
One of our best games, and I enjoyed the game, both halves. I really enjoyed the game. And if the boys are able to play tactically very disciplined as they played against the Moroccans in the friendly match, so I am very, very hopeful we'll come out with something good today.
Yeah, Preko, thank you so much for joining us with those thoughts there. Let's take a quick one from George Addo Jr., who also is with us. You've seen the team. You've been with them. What can you share about the team's body language? Very quickly, George.
Well, I think that they're very focused. They understand the job at hand. They know they are not favorites. They know they have to prove the world wrong. They know they have to go on the pitch and get the job done. And it was succinct from Coach Milivan Rajevac at the press conference. He did indicate that they are here to come and do a job. They don't need to start the competition as favorites. They don't need the tag. They are only just coming in to surprise everybody. Andrea Yu, the captain of the side, also indicated that they have been unlucky on a couple of occasions so far as winning the Africa Cup of Nations is concerned. So they know that they have to go out there and put in the hard work and get the results.
Okay.
Go
ahead, Gary. George.
No, yeah, I was saying that, yes, I've spoken to some Moroccan journalists as well who have told me we go on about a 40-year wait for an Africa Cup of Nations trophy. They are doing 46 years at the moment. The last time they won it was in 1976.
Okay,
so they are even hungrier to try.
All right. Some want it more than others. 46 versus 40. So I'm going to do this to wrap the conversation. Your quick prediction, George Addo Jr. What's your prediction? Each one of you, you, Gary, and then we wrap the conversation. What's your prediction?
I hope the Black Stars win this game. I'll take a draw.
Is it hope or you are predicting?
All right. Gary, what's yours? Very quickly.
1-0 to the Black Stars.
1-0 to the Black Stars, and you have said that they'll win, but you don't know by what margin.
I don't know by what margin, but they will win.
Our prayers are with the Ghana Black Stars. We wish them the very best as they lock horns with the Atlas Lions of Morocco today. And this is how we draw the curtains on the AM show for another beautiful morning. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Thank you for watching.